Caleb had always loved the open land. He loved the wide sky, the quiet mornings, and the way the wind moved through the tall grass. When he was younger, he had traveled with a group of cowboys, riding from town to town. He had seen many places, met many people, and lived a life full of freedom. But now, in his late 30s, his life felt different. It was quieter, lonelier, and heavier. He owned a small ranch on the edge of a dusty town. It was not a big ranch like the ones in stories. It was small and simple. Still, Caleb cared for it like it was the most important thing in his life. He worked from sunrise to sunset, tending to the animals, fixing broken fences, and trying to keep the land alive. The work never ended. There was always something that needed attention. The town was a short ride away, but Caleb rarely went there. The people in town were friendly enough, but he didn't feel like he belonged. His wife had died several years earlier, and since then, he had lived alone. He did not have children, and he did not have any family nearby. Every day felt the same. Every night was quiet. He missed having someone to talk to. He missed the sound of laughter in the house. He missed having a family. Still, Caleb was proud. He was proud of his ranch, proud of his work, and proud of how he managed on his own. He did not like asking for help. He believed a man should be able to take care of himself. But the truth was, he was tired. The ranch was getting harder to run alone. The animals needed care. The crops needed attention. The fences needed fixing. The days were long, and the nights were even longer. One evening, Caleb sat on his porch and looked out at the land. The sun was setting, and the sky turned orange and pink. He listened to the quiet sound of the wind. For a moment, he felt peace. But then he felt the loneliness again. He felt the emptiness that had been growing inside him for years. He thought about his wife. Her name was Mary. She had been kind and strong, and she had always helped him with the ranch. She was the one who taught him how to be patient, how to plan, and how to believe in the future. When she passed away, Caleb felt like the world had lost its color. He tried to stay strong, but he also tried to hide how much he missed her. That night, Caleb could not sleep. His mind kept going back to the ranch work that needed to be done. He knew he needed help. He needed someone who could come and stay, someone who could take care of the house and help with the animals. He needed someone who could share the work and the silence. The next morning, Caleb went into town. He walked through the dusty streets, his boots making soft sounds on the ground. He went into the small store and asked for paper and ink. The storekeeper looked at him with surprise. "Why do you need that?" the storekeeper asked. Caleb answered without thinking. "I need to put an ad in the paper." The storekeeper raised his eyebrows. "An ad for what?" He felt his face become warm. He did not like asking for help, but he knew he had to. "I need someone to help on the ranch," he said. "A farm maid. Someone who can do the housework and help with the animals." The storekeeper nodded slowly. "A farm maid, huh? That's a big step." Caleb nodded. "Yes, I can't do everything by myself anymore." The storekeeper took the paper and began writing the ad for Caleb. Caleb watched him carefully. He wanted the words to be simple and clear. He did not want to sound like he was begging. He wanted to sound like a man who knew what he needed and was ready to take action. When the ad was finished, Caleb read it carefully. It said, "Ranch owner seeking farm maid. Must be honest, hardworking, and willing to live on the ranch. No family obligations, only work and home life." Caleb felt uncomfortable when he read the last part. He did not want to sound rude, but he also did not want anyone to think they would be marrying him or becoming part of his family. He just needed help. He did not want to create confusion or false hope. The storekeeper nodded and handed the ad back to him. "We'll put it in next week's paper," he said. Caleb nodded and left the store. He felt a strange mix of hope and fear. He hoped someone would answer the ad. He feared that no one would come. He feared that he would continue to live alone forever. When he returned to the ranch, the wind was blowing softly. The animals were waiting for their evening feed. Caleb began his work, but his mind kept thinking about the ad. He tried to focus, but it was difficult. He wondered who would respond. He wondered if the person would be kind. He wondered if they would stay. For days, nothing happened. Caleb continued his work, but he felt like he was waiting for something. He checked the mailbox every morning, hoping to find a letter. He checked the road, hoping to see a new face riding toward the ranch. One afternoon, while Caleb was repairing a fence, he heard the sound of a horse approaching. He looked up and saw a woman riding slowly toward the ranch. She was dressed simply, with a calm expression on her face. Her horse was well cared for, and she rode with confidence. Caleb stopped working and watched her. His heart beat faster. He did not know who she was, but he felt a strange feeling in his chest. He had not expected anyone to come so soon. The woman stopped her horse near the ranch gate. She looked at Caleb for a moment. Then she lifted her hand and waved. Her smile was gentle. Caleb walked toward her. He felt nervous, but he tried to stay calm. He noticed her face first. Her skin was tan from the sun. Her eyes were dark and steady. She had long black hair tied back neatly. She looked strong but also peaceful. When Caleb reached her, he noticed something he had not expected. The woman did not speak. She did not move her lips. Instead, she smiled and pointed to herself, then pointed to the ranch, and then pointed to the ground as if asking where she should go. Caleb stood still, unsure of what to do. He tried to speak to her, but she did not respond. He realized she might not understand him. He looked at her hands and noticed that she moved them slowly and carefully, as if she was using a different language. He had never met anyone like this before. He had heard stories of people who could not hear, but he had never met one in person. He did not know how to react. He took a deep breath and decided to be kind. He smiled and pointed toward the ranch house. Then he pointed to the woman and nodded, as if to say, "You can come in." The woman nodded back. She tied her horse to the fence and walked toward the house. Caleb watched her carefully. He noticed the way she moved, the way she looked at everything with careful attention. She seemed calm and patient. When they reached the house, Caleb opened the door and stepped aside. He watched as she entered, carrying a small bag. She looked around the room, taking everything in. She then turned toward Caleb and made a gesture with her hands, pointing to the bag and then to herself, as if to ask if she could put her things down. Caleb nodded and said softly, "Yes, you can stay." The woman smiled again, and this time her smile seemed to reach her eyes. Caleb felt something in his heart change. He did not know what it was, but he felt that his life was about to change. For the first time in years, Caleb felt a sense of hope. He did not know what the future held, but he knew that the ranch would no longer be empty. Someone had come. Someone had chosen to be there, and Caleb knew, deep inside, that this was only the beginning of a story he had never expected to live. Caleb watched the woman as she moved around the house. She seemed calm and careful, as if she wanted to make sure everything was in the right place. She did not speak, but she had a gentle presence that made the room feel warmer. Caleb did not know what to say or how to act. but he felt a strange comfort in her quietness. He noticed that she was paying attention to everything. She looked at the furniture, the windows, the kitchen, and the fireplace. She looked at the walls and the floor, as if she was trying to remember every detail. Caleb realized that she was not just a stranger. She was someone who cared about where she was staying. The woman finished placing her bag on a chair and then turned to Caleb. She smiled again, and this time she raised her hands and made a gesture. She touched her chest with her fingertips, then pointed toward the sky, and then pointed to herself again. Caleb did not understand at first. He watched her carefully, trying to guess what she meant. Then he realized she was telling him her name. Caleb felt a small wave of relief. At least he would know what to call her. He nodded and said slowly, "Okay. What is your name?" The woman smiled and wrote something on a small piece of paper. She handed it to Caleb. Caleb looked at the paper and read the word Mika. He looked up at her and nodded. "Mika," he repeated. "That's a good name." Mika smiled again. She looked happy that he understood her. She seemed to feel more relaxed now that she had been able to communicate her name. Caleb thought for a moment. He wanted to talk to her, but he did not know how. He tried to speak slowly, but he realized that it would not help much. Mika did not speak, and Caleb did not know if she could hear him or not. He did not want to frighten her or make her feel uncomfortable. Instead, he decided to show her around the ranch. He thought it would be easier to communicate through actions. He walked toward the door and pointed outside. Mika followed him. They walked through the yard and toward the barn. Caleb showed her the animals, the tools, and the work that needed to be done. Mika watched carefully. She nodded and smiled, as if she understood. When they reached the barn, Caleb pointed to the horses and then to Mika. He made a motion with his hand, as if asking her to feed them. Mika nodded. She moved toward the feed, picked up a bucket, and began to fill it. She worked quickly and carefully. Caleb watched her and felt impressed. She was strong, and she knew what she was doing. After feeding the animals, Mika looked at Caleb and made a gesture with her hands. She placed her fingers together and then moved them in a small circle. Caleb did not understand at first. He watched her again. Then he realized she was asking if she could start cooking. Caleb smiled and nodded. He walked back toward the house, and Mika followed him. In the kitchen, she looked at the stove and the pots. She began to prepare food with quiet confidence. Caleb stood by the table watching her. He did not feel like he was watching a stranger anymore. He felt like he was watching someone who belonged there. As the day went on, Caleb began to understand more about Mika. He realized that she was not only hardworking, but also very observant. She seemed to notice small things that Caleb had never paid attention to. So she noticed that the door latch was loose, and she fixed it quickly. She noticed that the water bucket was cracked, and she found a way to repair it. She noticed that the roof had a small leak, and she placed a cloth to stop the water from dripping. Caleb felt grateful. He had been trying to do all these tasks by himself, and he had not noticed some of the small problems. Mika's presence made him feel less alone, and it made him feel that the ranch could finally become a better place. At the same time, Caleb felt something else. He felt a little nervous. He had never lived with anyone who did not speak. He had never had to communicate with someone using gestures and writing. He was not sure if he would be able to understand her well enough. He was not sure if he could make her feel comfortable. But Mika seemed patient. She did not seem upset when Caleb did not understand her. She just smiled and tried again. She used her hands, her eyes, and her expressions to explain things. She did not complain. She did not show frustration. She just kept trying. Caleb felt a deep respect for her. He realized that she had been through many challenges in her life. She had learned to live without hearing, and she had learned to communicate in her own way. Caleb knew that it must have been difficult, but Mika had made it look simple. She had made it look natural. That evening, Caleb and Mika sat at the table and ate dinner. The food was simple, but it tasted good. Caleb felt a warm feeling in his chest. He felt like he was not alone anymore. He felt like there was someone who cared about him and the ranch. After dinner, Caleb washed the dishes while Mika dried them. They worked together in a quiet rhythm. Caleb looked at Mika and wondered about her past. He wondered where she had come from and why she had chosen to come to his ranch. He wanted to ask her, but he did not know how. When the dishes were done, Caleb decided to try to communicate more. He found a notebook and a pencil. He handed them to Mika. She looked surprised, and then she smiled. She took the pencil and began to write. She wrote, "I am from the Apache tribe. I am deaf.
I want to work. I need a safe place."
Caleb read the words carefully. His heart softened. He had heard stories about Native American tribes, but he had never met someone from one. He had never met someone who had lived through so much. He felt a mix of respect and curiosity. He looked at Mika and nodded. He wrote back, "You are welcome here. I need help. I will do my best to make you feel safe." Mika read his words and smiled. She nodded, and then she placed her hand on her chest and pointed to Caleb. She then pointed to the house. Caleb understood. She was saying that she felt safe with him. She was saying that she trusted him. Caleb felt a strange emotion. He felt a warmth in his heart that he had not felt in years. He realized that he was beginning to care for Mika, not just as a worker, but as a person. He realized that he wanted her to stay, but he also knew that he needed to be careful. He had promised himself that he would not get close to anyone again. He had been hurt before, and he did not want to be hurt again. He did not want to lose another person he cared about. Still, as the night went on, Caleb found himself thinking about Mika more and more. He thought about the way she smiled. He thought about the way she worked. He thought about the way she looked at the world. He felt drawn to her in a way he did not understand. He knew that he had made a decision when he posted the ad. He had only wanted help. But now, he felt that his life was changing in a way he could not control. As he walked to his bedroom, Caleb looked out the window at the dark sky. The stars were shining brightly. He thought about the future. He thought about the work that still needed to be done. He thought about Mika and her quiet strength. For the first time in a long time, Caleb felt hope. He felt like his life might become something more than just work and loneliness. He felt like there might be a new story beginning, and he did not know where it would lead. But he knew one thing for sure. The woman named Mika had come to his ranch for a job, but she had also come to his life for a reason. And Caleb was not sure if he was ready for what was about to happen. In the morning, the ranch woke up with soft light and quiet sounds. The animals moved slowly, and the wind made the grass sway. Caleb woke up earlier than usual. He had slept well for the first time in many months. The reason was simple. He had someone else in the house. He did not feel the heavy silence that usually filled the rooms. He went to the kitchen and found Mika already there. She was sitting at the table, her hands folded in front of her. She looked calm, and her face showed a quiet strength. Caleb felt a warm feeling when he saw her. He realized that her presence had become normal in his life. It did not feel strange anymore. Mika stood up when Caleb entered. She smiled and pointed toward the cupboard. She was asking if she could help with breakfast. Caleb nodded and smiled back. He felt a sense of joy that he could not explain. Caleb started the day by checking the animals. Mika followed him. She did not need to be told what to do. She watched Caleb carefully, and she learned quickly. She helped him feed the horses, and she cleaned the stable with careful movements. Caleb was impressed by how organized she was. She did not waste time. She did not complain. She just worked. As the day went on, Caleb noticed something important. Mika was not just helping with the ranch. She was also watching him. She was watching the way he worked, the way he moved, the way he thought. She was learning about his life, and she seemed to care about it. Caleb began to teach Mika how to do some of the ranch work in his way.
He showed her how to mend a fence. He showed her how to check the water supply.
He showed her how to feed the animals in a certain order. Mika listened carefully. She watched his hands and his face. She copied his movements and tried to do the work exactly the way he showed her. At first, Caleb thought it would be difficult to teach someone who could not hear him. But he realized that Mika was very smart. She learned fast. She understood everything through gestures and observation. Caleb started to enjoy teaching her. He felt proud when she learned something new. During the afternoon, Caleb decided to try something new. He took out a notebook and began writing simple words. He wrote water, food, work, rest, and safe. He showed the words to Mika, and she nodded. She pointed to the word water and then pointed to her mouth. Caleb nodded again, understanding that she wanted water. Caleb realized that writing was a good way to communicate. He began writing more words and drawing simple pictures. He drew a small house and wrote home. He drew a horse and wrote animal. He drew a fence and wrote fix. Mika watched the drawings carefully and smiled. She then took the notebook and wrote something. Caleb read the words slowly. I want to learn. I want to help. I want to be part of the ranch. Caleb felt the strong emotion when he read her words. He had not expected her to say something so honest. He felt a deep respect for her. He realized that Mika was not only working for him, she was choosing to be part of his life. Caleb looked at her and nodded. He wrote back, "You are welcome here. You can stay." Mika's eyes brightened. She smiled and then made a gesture with her hands. She placed her palm on her chest and then pointed to Caleb. She was telling him that she felt grateful. She was telling him that she trusted him. Caleb felt a warm feeling in his chest. He knew that he had to protect her and take care of her. The days passed quickly. Caleb and Mika worked together, and their lives became connected. Caleb started to feel something he had not felt in a long time: joy. He began to laugh more. He began to talk to himself less. He began to feel that life had a purpose again. One evening, as the sun began to set, Caleb sat on the porch and watched the sky. Mika came out with a basket of fresh vegetables. She placed the basket on the table and then sat beside Caleb. She looked at the sky, and then she made a gesture with her hands. She placed her hand near her ear and shook her head, as if she was saying she could not hear. Then she pointed to the sky and smiled. She was showing Caleb that she loved the sky, even if she could not hear it. Caleb looked at her and felt a deep emotion. He realized that Mika saw the world differently. She did not need sound to feel the beauty of life. Caleb felt a desire to learn more about Mika's world. He wanted to know how she saw things. He wanted to understand her thoughts. He wanted to understand her feelings. He wanted to be close to her, not only as a worker, but as a friend. So Caleb decided to ask her about her past. He did not want to push her, but he wanted to know her story. He found his notebook and wrote a question. "Where did you come from?" Mika looked at the notebook and then wrote her answer. She wrote, "I lived with my family. I left because I wanted freedom. I wanted to choose my own life. Caleb read the words and felt a new respect for her. He understood that Mika had not come to his ranch by accident. She had chosen to come. She had chosen to leave her past behind and start a new life. Caleb felt a mix of emotions. He felt proud of her courage. He felt sad that she had to leave her family. He felt grateful that she had chosen to come to his ranch. He wanted to ask more, but he also wanted to respect her privacy. As the night came, Caleb and Mika sat by the fire. Caleb looked at her and noticed something he had not noticed before. Mika's hands were not only moving, they were expressive. Her fingers moved like she was telling a story. Caleb realized that she had her own way of speaking. She had her own language, and it was beautiful. Caleb felt a desire to learn that language. He wanted to be able to communicate with her without writing. He wanted to understand her thoughts and feelings more clearly. He wanted to be closer to her. So, he began to practice. He watched Mika's hands carefully. He tried to copy her gestures. He tried to learn the signs she used. Mika watched him with a gentle smile. She seemed pleased that he was trying. In the following days, Caleb and Mika began to create a simple routine. They would work together in the morning, rest in the afternoon, and then spend time learning from each other in the evening. Caleb taught Mika how to manage the ranch. Mika taught Caleb how to communicate with her using signs and gestures. Their bond grew stronger. They became more than just employer and worker. They became friends. They became a team. Caleb started to feel that he was not alone anymore. He started to feel that his life had meaning again. One day, a neighbor rode by the ranch. His name was Mr. Thompson. He stopped and waved. Caleb waved back. Mr. Thompson had always been friendly, but he had also been a bit judgmental. Caleb noticed that Mr. Thompson looked at Mika with a strange expression. He seemed surprised. Mr. Thompson walked toward the house and greeted Caleb. He then looked at Mika and asked, "Who is she?" Caleb answered, "Her name is Mika. She is helping me on the ranch." Mr. Russell Thompson looked at Caleb and then at Mika again. He said, "She is different. Are you sure she is a good fit?" Caleb felt a little angry. He did not like the tone in Mr. Thompson's voice. He felt like Mr. Thompson was judging Mika without knowing her. Caleb took a deep breath and answered calmly, "She is doing a good job. She is hardworking and honest, Mr. Alberti." Thompson nodded slowly. He looked at Mika again, and then he turned and rode away. Caleb watched him leave. He felt a mix of emotions. He felt angry that someone could judge Mika without knowing her. He felt protective of her. He felt proud of her. Caleb looked at Mika and saw her smile. She did not seem upset. She seemed calm. Caleb realized that Mika had already faced judgment before. She was used to people not understanding her. Caleb felt even more respect for her. That night, Caleb wrote in his notebook, "People may not understand Mika, but I do." He looked at the words and felt a sense of certainty. He knew that Mika was not just a worker. She was a person with a strong heart and a brave spirit. He knew that his life was changing because of her. As he went to bed, Caleb felt a quiet happiness. He did not know what the future would bring. He did not know if people would accept Mika. He did not know if he could handle the changes in his life. But he knew one thing. He was not alone anymore. He had someone who cared about him, someone who trusted him, someone who had changed his life in a way he never expected. And for the first time in a long time, Caleb felt truly hopeful. The days passed, and the ranch grew busier. Caleb and Mika worked hard together. The plants in the field started to look healthier. The animals seemed happier. The fence was stronger. The house was cleaner. Caleb began to feel proud of what they were building. He felt that the ranch was becoming more like a real home again. One afternoon, a dark cloud appeared in the sky. The wind changed direction and became stronger. Caleb looked up and felt a small worry in his chest. He had seen storms before, but this one felt different. The air felt heavy, and the birds were flying low. Caleb called out to Mika. He pointed to the sky and then made a gesture with his hands, as if to say, "Storm."
Mika looked up and nodded. She understood immediately.
She moved quickly, as if she knew what needed to be done. Caleb and Mika started to prepare the ranch. They checked the animals and made sure they were safe. They closed the barn doors and tied them securely. They gathered loose tools and stored them inside. They checked the roof and covered the weak spots with extra cloth. They worked together with quiet focus. As the storm grew closer, the wind became stronger. The clouds moved faster. The sky turned dark, and the air felt cold. Caleb and Mika moved quickly, but they did not panic. They trusted each other. They worked as a team. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the barn. Caleb turned his head and saw that one of the fence gates had come loose. It was swinging in the wind. The animals were near the gate, and Caleb feared they might get out. Caleb ran toward the gate, but Micah was already there. She had seen the problem before Caleb could reach it. She grabbed the gate with both hands and held it steady. Caleb arrived and helped her tie the gate securely. Together, they managed to keep the animals safe. Caleb felt a strong sense of gratitude. Mika had acted quickly and calmly. She had not waited for him to take charge. She had stepped forward and helped. Caleb realized that Mika was not just a worker. She was a partner. She was someone he could trust in difficult moments. The storm arrived soon after. Rain started to fall and the wind became stronger. The sound of the rain hitting the roof was loud. The sky was dark, and the world outside looked like a gray blur. Caleb and Mika stayed inside the house. They sat near the fireplace and watched the storm. Mika looked at the window and then at Caleb. She made a gesture with her hands, moving them slowly in the air. Caleb did not understand at first. Then he realized she was showing him that the storm was beautiful. She was showing him that even though the storm was loud and strong, it was also amazing to watch. Caleb smiled. He had never thought of a storm as beautiful. To him, storms were a problem. They caused work and trouble. But Mika saw something else. She saw the power of nature. She saw the beauty in the rain. Caleb felt a new respect for her. He realized that she had a different way of seeing the world, and it was something he wanted to learn from. The storm continued for hours. The wind blew strongly and the rain fell hard. The house shook slightly, but it stayed strong. Caleb and Mika stayed inside, and they talked in their own way. They used the notebook, they used gestures, and they used their eyes. They communicated in a quiet, calm way. As the storm continued, Caleb noticed something else. Caleb died back. The animals in the barn were nervous. They were making soft sounds and moving around. Caleb felt worried. He knew that animals could get scared during storms. He wanted to comfort them, but he could not leave Mika alone in the house. Mika noticed Caleb's worry. She looked at him and then pointed to the barn. She then made a gesture with her hands, as if to say, "We can do it together." Caleb nodded. He realized that Mika was suggesting they go to the barn together to calm the animals. Caleb and Mika walked to the barn. The wind was strong and the rain was heavy. The barn door was wet and the ground was muddy, but they moved together. step by step. When they reached the barn, they entered carefully. The animals looked at them with nervous eyes. Mika walked slowly toward the animals. She moved her hands gently, and she spoke softly, even though she knew Caleb could not hear her. Caleb watched her, and he felt a strange feeling in his chest. Mika did not need sound to communicate with the animals. She used her body language and her calm presence. She moved slowly and confidently, and the animals began to calm down. Caleb was amazed. He had never seen anyone calm animals like that. He realized that Mika had a natural way of understanding living things. She had a calm energy that made others feel safe. After the storm passed, the sky began to clear. The clouds moved away and the sun began to shine. The land looked clean and fresh. The air smelled like rain. Caleb and Mika walked outside and looked at the ranch. The fence was still strong. The animals were safe. The house was still standing. Caleb felt a deep sense of relief.
He looked at Mika and smiled. He felt proud of her.
He felt proud of their work. He felt proud of the ranch. But then, a new worry came into his mind. He remembered the neighbor, Mr. Thompson. He wondered what Mr. Thompson would say if he saw Mika. He wondered if people would understand her. He wondered if the town would accept her. Caleb knew that the storm had shown him something important. Mika was brave. Mika was strong. Mika was not afraid of challenges. Caleb felt that he needed to protect her from the world outside the ranch. He knew that some people might not accept her because she was different. He knew that some people might judge her without knowing her. That night, Caleb sat by the fire and thought about the future. He thought about how the storm had shown him that Mika was not just a worker. She was someone who could handle hard times. He thought about how she had stepped up when he needed help. He thought about how she had saved the animals. He realized that he was starting to care about her more than he had expected. He realized that his feelings were changing. He did not know if he was ready for that. He had been alone for so long. He had promised himself that he would not get close to anyone again. But Mika was different. She was not like anyone he had met before. She was kind, strong, and brave. She was patient and calm. She had a quiet strength that made Caleb feel safe. He realized that he had begun to trust her in a way he had not trusted anyone in years. As he sat by the fire, he wrote in his notebook, "Mika is brave. Mika is kind.
Mika is strong. I trust her."
He looked at the words and felt a sense of truth. He knew that his life was changing. He knew that he could not go back to the way things were before. He knew that he would have to face the world with Mika by his side. The next day, the sun shined brightly. The ranch looked alive again. Caleb and Mika continued their work. They talked, they laughed, and they worked together. They were a team. And Caleb knew that the storm had changed more than just the ranch. It had changed his heart. The next morning, the ranch felt calm and bright. The storm was gone, and the air smelled fresh. Caleb woke up early, as he always did, but this morning felt different. He felt a quiet excitement in his chest. He did not know why, but he felt that something important was about to happen. He went to the kitchen and saw Mika already there. She was preparing breakfast with her usual calm focus. She looked up and smiled at Caleb. Her smile made his heart feel warm. He realized that her presence had become a part of his life, like the sunrise or the sound of the animals. Caleb sat down at the table and watched her work. He thought about how much had changed since she arrived. The ranch was doing better. The house was cleaner. The animals were healthier. Caleb felt proud. But he also felt something else. He felt that his life was becoming richer. Caleb had always been a quiet man. He did not speak much, and he did not share his feelings. But with Mika, he felt like he could be different. He felt like he could show more of himself. He felt like he could open his heart. After breakfast, Caleb and Mika went outside to work. They fed the animals, checked the fences, and looked after the crops. The work felt easier now because they were doing it together. They moved in a smooth rhythm, like they had been working together for years. As the day went on, Caleb noticed something he had not noticed before. Mika was not just working, she was also caring for the land. She touched the plants gently and looked at them closely. She seemed to understand the needs of the plants. She was not only a helper, she was someone who cared deeply about the ranch. Caleb felt a new respect for her. He realized that Mika had a connection to the land that he had never seen in himself. He had always thought of the ranch as work, as a duty, but Mika saw it as something more. She saw it as a living place, a home. Caleb thought about the future. He thought about how the ranch could grow. He thought about how they could make the land more beautiful. He thought about how they could build a better life together. He wanted to share these thoughts with Mika, but he did not know how to say them. So, he decided to write them down. He took his notebook and wrote, "I want to build a home with you." He showed the words to Mika. She read them slowly. Her eyes widened, and she smiled. She looked at Caleb with a gentle expression. She placed her hand on her chest and pointed to the house. She then pointed to Caleb. She was saying that she wanted the same thing. Caleb felt his heart beat faster. He felt a strong emotion, but he did not feel scared. He felt happy. He felt like he had found something he had been missing for a long time. Caleb knew that his feelings for Mika were real. He knew that he cared for her deeply. He knew that he wanted her to stay with him, not just as a worker, but as a partner. He wanted to share his life with her, but he also knew that life would not be easy. The world outside the ranch could be harsh. People might not accept their relationship. Some people might judge them. Some might even try to cause trouble. Caleb thought about the neighbor, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, he remembered how Mr. Thompson had looked at Mika with doubt. Caleb wondered if the town would ever accept her. He wondered if they would understand her. But Caleb also knew something important. He knew that Mika was strong. He knew that she had faced challenges before. He knew that she could handle hard times. He knew that she had a brave heart. Caleb decided that he would not let fear control him. He decided that he would protect Mika and stand by her. He decided that he would not let others decide their happiness. That evening, Caleb and Mika sat outside on the porch. The sky was clear, and the stars were bright. The air was cool and calm. Caleb looked at the stars and felt a deep sense of peace. Mika sat beside him and looked at the sky. She then made a gesture with her hands. She pointed to the stars and then pointed to her heart. Caleb understood. She was saying that she felt happy and peaceful. She was saying that the stars made her feel calm. Caleb smiled and reached for his notebook. He wrote, "Do you want to stay here forever?" Mika read the words and looked at Caleb. She smiled and nodded. She then wrote her answer. "Yes?"
I want to stay.
Caleb felt a warm feeling in his chest. He looked at her and felt grateful. He realized that he had found something special. He had found someone who cared about him, someone who trusted him, someone who wanted to build a life with him. Caleb took a deep breath. He wanted to say something important, something that would show Mika how much she meant to him. He tried to find the right words, but he realized that words were not enough. He needed to show her. He stood up and walked toward Mika. He gently took her hand in his. He looked into her eyes and smiled. He did not speak. He did not need to. Mika understood. She smiled back, and her eyes shone. Caleb then did something he had never done before. He took a small ring from his pocket. He had kept it for years, thinking that he would never use it again. The ring was simple, but it was meaningful. It had belonged to his wife, Mary. He had kept it as a memory of her. Caleb looked at Mika and then looked at the ring. He felt a deep emotion. He realized that he was not forgetting Mary. He was not replacing her. He was honoring her memory by living a life that she would have been proud of. Caleb held the ring in his hand and then gently placed it on Mika's finger. Mika looked surprised. She touched the ring with her fingers and smiled. She looked at Caleb and nodded. She was saying that she understood. She was saying that she accepted his heart. Caleb felt a deep sense of joy. He felt that his life had finally found meaning again. He felt that he had found someone who could share his life. He felt that the ranch was no longer just a place of work. It was a home filled with love. The next morning, Caleb and Mika woke up early. They began their work as usual, but the work felt different now. It felt lighter. It felt happier. They worked with a new sense of purpose. They worked with love. The days passed, and the ranch continued to grow. Caleb and Mika worked together, and they built a life that was full of peace and happiness. They welcomed the animals, the plants, and the land into their hearts. They built a home that was warm and bright. As time went on, the town began to notice the changes. People saw how well the ranch was doing. People saw how happy Caleb and Mika were. Some people still had doubts, but others began to accept them. They began to see that love could be strong and kind, no matter who the people were. Caleb and Mika never forgot the hard times. They never forgot the challenges they faced, but they also never forgot the joy they found in each other. They knew that their love was real. They knew that their life together was a gift. Years later, when Caleb looked back on his life, he realized that the day he posted the ad was the day his life changed forever. He had only wanted a farm maid. He had not expected to find love. He had not expected to find a partner. He had not expected to find someone who would change his life in a way he could never have imagined. But Mika had come into his life, and she had made it better. She had brought hope, peace, and love. She had made the ranch feel like a home again, and Caleb knew that he would always be grateful for the day she arrived. Cowboy posted an ad for a farm maid, not a wife. But the deaf Apache woman changed his life forever.